Hello. My name is Shani Boston. I too went to Westminster for 12 years. I missed, was the Alpha Omega by one? I'm so mad. No, but get a PJ? Well, I'm not that mad. No, but I spent 12 years here. I then did my undergraduate at the University of Pennsylvania. I was there for 4 years. I ran track. And there I was the captain of the team. I broke a couple school records. And I think somebody just broke this year, which I'm kind of upset about. And then I actually trained professionally for about a year and a half. I aimed to make the 28 Olympic team, but unfortunately got hurt. And as Alex mentioned, sometimes things that you see that are curses end up being blessings. And for me, getting injured in track and field opened up the opportunity to really discover a new facet to myself. I had basically played sports since I was 2 years old. I have a toddler video of myself running the 100-meter dash. And I had always wanted to be Jackie Joyner-Kersee. That was who my hero was. I dreamed of either that or Shell Swoops. And I remember my senior year at Westminster, I kind of had this epiphany where I realized I loved, and maybe it was my relationship with Dave Drake, where I drove him crazy every day. But he was, I sat down and I realized I didn't necessarily want to play basketball. I wanted to focus primarily on track and field. And I think it was through consultation with Nancy and a lot of other people that I think this is the foundation that Westminster gives you, is that it allows you, it gives you the tools to see yourself in so many different ways. And for me, that's why I went to Penn. I had, to this day, Dave Drake will always be upset with me, especially I think they just won the national championship, the women. I had an offer to play basketball at Notre Dame. And I mean, I don't know if anybody knows Dave Drake, but he is a basketball man, right? And so I remember being here, and they had actually ended up calling and trying to reach me and saying they want to fly me up, and I want to come and see this campus, and they were interested in giving me a full ride. And before he was like, I guess they were trying to triage me because my parents talked to me and then Dave Drake talked to me, and he was like, Shani, are you sure you do not want to come? I was like, I don't even want to take the visit. And I think to this day, he's upset with me about that because he's like, I could have gone to national championship games. Rob, what are you doing with my life? But no, I mean, I think in that moment, I knew I wanted to do something different. And I think that's kind of been a theme throughout my life. And so then I went to Penn, and I discovered even more things. I realized that there were so many things that I could do. I could do business, I could do arts. I actually majored in political science, philosophy, and economics, which we'll get into what I do now. But I discovered I loved economics. And for me, I think it was just the ability to I always say, I love things that give you a lens. And for me, having such a broad exposure in undergrad gave me an idea into political science, which I was like, this is fascinating. I love economics because I love the study of human behavior. And so again, when I stepped on Penn's campus, I think slowly throughout those 4 years while I was still competing, I was actually stepping away from track and stepping away from sports and stepping into something different. And then I had a fantastic, and I remember my sophomore year when I was there, I had this moment where I had been wildly successful my freshman year, and my sophomore year hit, and I just I guess there's kind of like a wall. People talk about their sophomore slump, and I really hit it hard. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I hadn't spent, when we talk about meaningful life, I hadn't spent as much time. I was envious of my classmates being able to be on the grass lawns and partying and just enjoying college. I was up every single day, every year round. And when you're a student athlete, it's a job. And people don't tell you that, but it is a job. And especially at Penn, because the academics, if anything, it's even harder because you have the stigma that you got in because you're an athlete. But the rigors of academia don't change, and you still have the expectations of school. And so for me, I remember my sophomore year, I was really envious of my other classmates because they had time to really, just discover themselves, do things, be a normal college student. And I kind of refer back to this thing of time because that was something that I pursued later on. But in that moment, I knew I was transitioning out of sports. And then my senior year, I realized I had this wonderful opportunity to train at the University of Florida and try and make the Olympic team. And there was, I don't know if anybody remembers this individual named Brian Clay. He ended up winning the Olympic gold in decathlon. I was down there training with him and some of the fastest athletes in the entire world. It was an experience I will never forget. And I think the thing for me was that it gave me, it kind of built upon my foundation of commitment and consistency and achieving and those things. But at the same time, I also realized that I didn't love it. And you gotta love it. You know, it's different. I realized a lot of the love that I have for sports were my classmates. You know, it was being at Westminster and running from school down to class and just bouncing the basketball court and just sleepovers and bus trips, and that was fantastic that I got to Penn, and I was really spoiled. You know, I was spoiled to be around brilliant people who were also athletic. Again, you know, I grew up in this kind of very insular environment. And then when I stepped out and I had to run professional athlete, I had to become a professional athlete, I realized that's no longer the case. It's very different. It was very lonely for me, and I just wasn't excited. I didn't love what I wanted to do. So I competed and I ended up, right before qualifications, pulling my hamstring and getting injured, and I couldn't make the trials. And I was devastated because I kind of felt like I let myself and my family and everybody's expectations down. I felt like a failure. I really felt like a failure, and that was really hard to deal with. Because I had my dream of being Jackie Joyner-Kersee, and how do you do that when you're injured and you don't make the team and you have all these expectations? But it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I took some time to figure out what's my next move. I moved back to Atlanta, and I actually started working at my family business. So, I think my parents roped me into this sometimes, but so I legitimately work with my whole family. So I work with my father, my mother, and my brother. My father is an economist. He's a professor at Georgia Tech. My mother is a professor of tech and urban planning and city planning. My brother has his master's in statistics, and I have my MBA, and we all consult together. And primarily we do economic analysis, which again, getting back to economics, but we basically deal with data all day. And if I could tell you things, there's no way I would have thought I would have gone from track to data. Like, there's just no connection, right? But what really led me there was my family. It was the opportunity to spend some time figuring out who I wanted to be, what were my values, you know, what was the natural connection for me, what was the next step, and I think I found that in business. I love the competitiveness, I love the challenge. I think probably Nancy would tell you that I always kind of knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I did not like, I could barely take coaching instructions from other people. I don't think I was going to be a good employee, so I figured I might as well try and work for myself. But at the same time, it gave me the opportunity to spend some time with my family that I love and adore. And it gave me the richness and the texture that's in my life now, because I wouldn't have had that. I would have, I kind of was on a track to abandon that. And I think had I not gotten injured, had I not refocused my purpose, I wouldn't be where I am now. And now I do, so basically I'm the director of business development for our family business. Our clients are everybody. We work for the U.S. Department of Commerce, U.S. Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship. We've worked the Atlanta Housing Authority, New Haven Housing Authority, just a lot of political analysis, which is actually really fascinating because it's stuff that I find interesting. But I know if I had never had the foundation that Westminster gave me, I would have never had the confidence to do that. And I think more than anything, Westminster doesn't give you a destination, it gives you tools. I think the expectations that are set here, again, are not about a destination, but it's more about how you do something. That's what Westminster tells you. It teaches you how to do something. And that's something that I've carried throughout my life. I also think that something else that's really been important to me has been fit. And I'll go back to Nancy because my older brother, he was here, he was 5 years ahead of me. And we talk about just different decisions that we made. I chose Penn and he chose Carnegie Mellon. And I think when we look back, and it's funny because I always make fun of you, applied to Penn and got rejected. So like as a little sister, I always pull that card as much as I can. But I think more than anything, I realized that the things that have given me the things that I've really excelled at have been the places that I fit. I love my undergrad. I love it. I love the people I met there, the experience, the alumni. It's been fantastic. So I think more than anything, you know, when we talk about meaningful life, the most meaningful life is one that fits you. And I think that if you can encourage that in your students, then they'll be wildly happy. So, thank you.